Looking for a fast-charging, ultra-responsive stylus for your iPad? Meet the 2X Fast Charge Active Stylus Pen, designed for 2018 to 2025 Apple iPads. Take your creativity and productivity to the next level. Click the link in the video description to shop now on Amazon.
Why Donald Trump's Liberation Day could be about to make life harder for Brits. Donald Trump has declared tomorrow will be Liberation Day for the U.S., when his country will shake off any reliance it has on other countries for products and supplies. But in the rest of the world, and for many in the U.S. itself, the prospect of sweeping, scattershot, international tariffs being introduced all at once conjures feelings of dread rather than freedom. For the UK, it's more than a little embarrassing too. You may remember that at the end of February, Keir Starmer traveled to the White House just after announcing a big increase in defense spending partially to appease the U.S., and offered Trump a second state visit. At the moment, it seems those efforts have not borne fruit. The PM admitted this morning it was likely the UK would not be spared from the president's tariffs. He told Sky News, "The likelihood is there will be tariffs. Nobody welcomes that." Craig Munro breaks down Westminster chaos into easy-to-follow insight, walking you through what the latest policies mean to you. Sign up here. We are obviously working with the sectors most impacted at pace on that. Nobody wants to see a trade war, but I have to act in the national interest. This will likely mean a rough start to April. For many Brits will only become rougher. Today, a raft of tax and bill increases come into effect. Energy bills, water bills, phone bills, broadband bills, TV licenses, council tax and car tax are all going up. Businesses have warned a rise in national insurance contributions kicking in today will also force up prices. A simultaneous increase in the minimum wage and living wage will mitigate the impacts for some, but there's no doubt life in the UK is getting more expensive. To view this video, please enable JavaScript and consider upgrading to a web browser that supports HTML5. Video. Up next. A tariff is a tax on imported goods from other countries. Companies that bring in items from overseas, in order to sell them or use them in the manufacturing process, pay these taxes to the government. If you listen to Donald Trump describing them, they might sound like a silver bullet that will save the U.S. economy. He says his tariffs will encourage customers and firms to buy U.S. products. But the reality is more complicated. Businesses that want to avoid tariffs could take years to rearrange their supply lines, and in the meantime, it's not unusual for them to pass on their higher prices onto customers. That doesn't just affect U.S. businesses either. It'll have an impact on UK businesses that deal in the U.S. too. Even if other countries don't retaliate by imposing their own import taxes on the U.S., as several of them have said they will do, the interconnected nature of global trade means prices could rise around the world. Part of the reason Trump's tariff threats are concerning figures in the British government so much is because of the uncertainty around them. We already know a 25% tariff will be introduced on all cars being imported to the U.S., a move that will hammer the British automotive industry. But there's a conspicuous lack of detail on the broader round that has been promised. Speculation suggests Trump may choose to respond to the rate of VAT by imposing import taxes of 20% on the UK. If that happens, business will suddenly get a lot more expensive for many British firms, and that will mean further price rises for customers. To view this video, please enable JavaScript and consider upgrading to a web browser that supports HTML5. Video. Up next. Then there's the question of whether the UK will choose to reciprocate on any tariffs that are imposed, as many other countries have said they will do. Starmer has said all options remain on the table, but emphasized his hopes that a trade deal will be struck with the US. Economists at the Office for Budget Responsibility, the official body that checks the Treasury's numbers, have warned placing our own tariffs on US goods would damage the UK's finances even further. And that's a risk the government desperately wants to avoid. Last Wednesday, Chancellor Rachel Reeves announced her spring statement with a bruising series of cuts to benefits and a relatively small amount of headroom. If the worst-case scenario plays out, she could end up almost back at square one just a week later. Get in touch with our news team by emailing us at webnews@metro.co.uk. For more stories like this, check our news page. Era. More Disney's Snow White tanked, but it's not because of Rachel Zegler. Era. More Keir Starmer. I watched Adolescence with my children. There's a reason I can't stop thinking about it. Era. More Adolescence has the power to change the UK, Keir Starmer says. Straight-talking analysis from Westminster, straight to your inbox. This site is protected by Ray CAPTCHA, and the Google privacy policy and terms of service apply. Your information will be used in line with our privacy policy.